and welcome to the premiere episode of Bad Movie Brothers. I am Eric.
I'm Chad.
And this time we watched the movie Thunderground from
Or as I like to call it, Bum Fight Road Trip.
Oh, you see, I was calling it Bum Fight Over the Top.
Oh, see, it's close.
It is close.
Except there's no arm wrestling, man. What are you talking about?
Well, that's right, because it's bum fighting instead of arm wrestling.
I got you.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Weird movie.
I don't think weird is the word. Confusing,
yeah.
Question-raising.
I think confused itself.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
What? So, did you have any expectations for this movie?
I did. Well, you sent me the envelope thing. I opened it, and I saw that it was called Thunderground. So I thought it would be some sort of fighting thing, but not what I got. Right. And I also expected to be told what Thunderground meant, instead of at no point in time ever that word coming up at all.
Well, I think we should address that right off the top.
Okay.
That, just like you said, Thunderground, there is no payoff for the title.
Nope.
There is no mention of the title.
There's barely any thunder. There's no thunder in the movie, and there's no ground really. They're on the ground at all times.
Right. I did notice there's at one point in the movie, I think it's when they're going to the second hobo city.
Okay.
And this is making no sense to our viewers, but we'll get to that in a second.
Right.
But when they're approaching the second hobo city, I think Thunderground is spray painted on a wall that they walk by.
But it's not focused on.
Not at all. Not at all. Now,
you can't name a movie after one frame of spray paint. You can't do it.
Well, you can name a movie whatever you want, but when you're making up words,
right?
It seems like that word should come to play in the movie.
Yeah.
Like in Over the Top, he goes over the top.
I got it.
But Thunderground, like obviously it's underground.
But is it?
But thunder.
There's nothing underground in it.
Well, like it is underground fighting.
No, it's not.
It kind of is. It's not professional fighting.
But it's out in the open for everybody.
Sometimes.
Until the very end, it's all out in the open.
Oh no, I would argue. Well, you know what? We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
So we should probably tell people what this movie is about.
All right.
Do you want to take a stab at the plot of this movie?
I'll take a stab at it.
All right.
So, the movie, I was confused on the date. It either said 1968 or 1988.
88.
It's irrelevant either way because it doesn't matter. But anyway, we open on a bum jumping out of a train terribly, and his name happens to be Bird for some reason.
Or Birdman.
Or Birdman, who cannot fly, and his wing is clipped because of his leg, obviously, the whole movie.
Right.
So he gets teamed up with a punky, what appears to be a young man bum who is going to act as his manager in fights. And they team up and go around the country to try to make money at being a bum fighter. I'm not really sure.
I would say more or less. Yeah. Like we meet like Casey is the girl, and she's probably our main character.
Right. And
she's posing as a boy.
Were you confused by that at all? Because I knew it was a girl from the second one.
Absolutely. So when we meet her in what is identified on screen as Hobo Junction.
Right, correct.
Which is the greatest name ever.
In the year 1988,
right.
You say.
And she is playing 3-card Monte with the local bums and taking them for, I guess, $1 at a time.
Right.
Which doesn't seem efficient.
And the only reason she seems to be a boy is because she's using a graggly voice. Right. And she's got dirt on her.
Yeah. She has...
And her hair is back, obviously.
Right. She's got her hair pulled back.
Right.
She has Christian Bale Batman voice.
And she looks like Christian Bale from the Newsies.
A little bit. And she's got an oversized coat on to hide what figure she has.
Right.
Right? And, yeah, instantly I was confused by the movie because I said, well, this is obviously a woman.
Yeah.
Why is she trying to hide it, and why doesn't anyone else notice?
Well, And she's like the only woman in the movie of any consequence.
Well, right, except for there's an old woman that she plays 3-card Monty with.
Yeah.
And then that's, I think, the only female character in the rest of the movie.
There's 2 waitresses.
There's a couple of waitresses, there's a couple of bystanders. And as we will get to later, there is an unnecessarily madam-esque bartender at one point.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But it all doesn't matter because she reveals, or is revealed,
right,
through a completely unnecessary nip slip.
Yeah, that was my question. Did that need to happen for you?
No, it did not. And so about 5 minutes in, oh, well, she's a girl. So what was the point?
I don't know.
I don't know.
To set up the weird scene where all the other hobos were going to take their turns, but
I don't even want to talk about that.
The Birdman stopped.
That was no good.
No,
that was no good.
All bad.
But yeah, so she ends up teaming up with Bird, who he didn't seem to me like he had any hobo experience.
Right, but I'm very confused on the whole Bird situation in general, because through several viewings of the movie, I had different feelings about him overall at the end of the movie several times.
So like we said, Bird ends up showing up. He jumps off a train the wrong way, and so there's a lot of.
But that fall didn't look bad. That did not look like a bad fall.
But they make a lot of hay at the beginning of the movie about that. That maybe he's not the most experienced hobo.
And we never learn anything about it.
No.
It's so upsetting to me.
It is, because it seems like he's going to have a backstory.
At every turn.
I kept expecting him to turn out to be a prize fighter, or that he was rich, or that something terrible had happened to his family.
Right.
And none of that ever matters.
No. Nothing. Not a thing comes up.
No. And the movie seems to go back and forth between whether he's good at being a bum or not. Because sometimes he doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
Because after he loses his first bum fight, which Casey had bet against him.
Well, she didn't.
He wins it. He wins it.
Right. She had to bet against him to get the money up, because the other guy was getting the money for rhubarb.
Right.
On rhubarb's behalf.
This movie has the best bum names.
Yes.
Because the opening scene also has that guy from Newhart.
If he don't show up, he don't show up. And you don't get a goddamn cent.
As Ratman.
Yep.
And then later there's a bum called Red Rider.
There was also one called Boo as well.
Yeah, and there was a Big John and a Jimbo.
Yep. Well, I mean, Jimbo's everywhere.
Well, obviously. But she gets him to fight, but then bets against him. And when he wins, she runs off with the money. They end up hooking back up together and jump on a train together, where there's another hobo.
Which there needs to be a movie about that guy.
Oh yeah, because he plays like the paperclip or whatever that
rubber
thing
band.
is. Yeah.
And then he knows everything about the train system and what a 60-90 means, or whatever they were saying.
Well, and he starts speaking a hobo language.
Yep.
That Casey understands right away, but which Bird has no concept of.
And Bird cannot read.
That's right. Bird is illiterate, which, while I buy that as a thing that would happen to a bum, you would think
he's not a bum.
You would think then that he would have more hobo experience than he has. Is all I'm saying.
And she's a bum, yet she can read perfectly.
It almost seems like he came into existence moments before the movie began.
I was going to say this. I think he was the second guy from Terminator 1 that came from the future
Kyle
to
Reese?
save somebody. Yeah. And they just had no need to read anything then.
Oh, now you're blowing my mind.
Yep. Yeah.
You're blowing my mind. We could reread this whole movie.
Yep.
Where he's from the future.
Yeah.
And when we get to him, Jesse Ventura is Terminator.
See, that was the only. I got super excited looking at the credits, thinking, "Oh man, Jesse Ventura's in this."
Right.
Not until like the last 5 minutes.
No, but the best part of the movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that because so they hatch this plan then, Casey and Bird.
They don't. She does.
Well, fair enough. She does. To travel the, I don't know, 5 or 6 states.
2
states. To get into bum fights for money.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
With the ultimate goal of finding a guy called the Man.
This raises 2 big questions for me.
Yes.
Number 1, why does she care about these fights? She's basically betting $20 a fight.
Yes.
They're going to go nowhere fast.
Oh, don't worry. I have a very big point to make about that later on.
And number 2,
yes.
It's obvious like she's not like a fight manager of bums, but all of a sudden she knows about this man where all the money is. How would she know anything about it?
Because the Man is a hobo legend.
But he's not a hobo.
I understand, and that is a hole in the plot.
Yeah.
Granted, but the man's deal is that he will fight anyone, and
right.
however much money you care to bet, he will offer up 10 times that amount.
Yeah.
Because he's rich, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's a fight to the death.
But he's not fighting hobos because hobos aren't trained to fight. He's fighting trained fighters.
Or hobos also don't have any money.
Here's my other thought.
Yes.
Not only is Bird from the future a la Terminator.
Sure.
He is coming back to kill himself because he's the Man.
That's not bad. Well, he's
the only person that can beat him.
That gets me to a recurring thing throughout this movie is they keep talking about we're going to go fight the Man. We're looking for the Man, right?
Right.
And so it seems like it is just that, like a hobo legend. And I fully expected that we would get to the end of the movie and there would be a little twist of there is no the Man.
Right.
That he's just a legend. And that with the movie, it's not, it turns out that the movie wasn't about finding the Man. It was about finding themselves and, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
But no, there's a Man.
Yep.
There's the Man, and he operates exactly as advertised.
And he has cool layers. Oh my goodness.
I cannot wait to talk more about the Man. But
yeah.
first we have to talk about their second bum fight.
In the bar. In the barn bar.
Yes, because they get picked up by a guy who looks like the lead singer of that country band from the Blues Brothers.
Yep.
In his pickup truck, and he takes them to, as you said, a bar, a very elaborate bar that is just in the top floor of some ramshackle barn.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it at all. Why is there a barn in the middle of Mississippi in a barn?
But it also
nothing else around it other than the moving chapel.
Right. It's because there's a semi outside that doubles as a chapel.
Yep.
But what I didn't get was it seemed like this bar was very legitimate.
Oh yeah, it looked for real.
But there's no signage.
Other than it, you know what? I think it was a brothel.
Well, I thought that too.
But I'm not sure.
Because as we hinted at already,
yeah.
the bartender at this bar is the most gaudily made up woman, where she has like
cleavage.
A lot of cleavage, a bright red, like this bright red, frilly ensemble. Mm-hmm. More makeup than is on any of the other characters in the movie combined.
Right.
And she runs this place where apparently impromptu fights are the way things go down.
Yeah.
And their champion then is Jimbo.
Correct. And he's a big mother, I'll tell you what.
Well, he's like 8 feet tall.
Yep.
But he has no muscle tone whatsoever.
No.
Jimbo, stand on up, boy.
No. And he is, when we meet him, he is sitting on a couch with the strangest looking women.
Well, I mean, that's who you're going to find in a barn bar.
But I disagree. Because when they enter the barn bar,
okay, yeah, I know where you're going.
We see an old man leaving with like an 80s mechanics garage calendar bottle.
Right, correct.
But anyway, so then they...
She's spoken for, obviously.
by this old guy, this old man.
Yeah.
And so then there's another fight.
Now, if your movie is based entirely on fighting,
right,
and you're the director of said movie,
yeah,
you think you're going to get your actors a little training in fighting, maybe? Or are you just going to have these terrible fight scenes that are awful?
Well, and again, that was the other thing about this movie, is that for a movie that is ostensibly about fighting,
yep,
there's very little fighting in it.
There's, what, 4 fights?
There are 4 fights.
And 3 of them are just the worst fights I've ever seen.
Yeah, and there are no training montages.
Nope.
The only montage in the movie is a driving montage.
Yep, road trip.
Yeah.
Bum fight road trip.
Right, a Muppet movie style road trip.
Yep.
Toward the end of the movie. But there's no...
The song is about going to find the man. Did you hear that?
Yeah. Oh, let's talk about the music.
I'd rather not, but okay.
The music in this movie is terrible.
Well, I'm fine with the songs. The interstitial music
yes.
of like the twanging banjo at the
yes.
beginning and like random banjos throughout is what's awful.
Well, the songs are that weird thing that happens so rarely in movies, where the songs are very specific to the action of the movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, loved it.
Looking for the Man,
yep.
being the prime example.
Mm-hmm.
But the music that starts the movie out is like the most generic,
yeah,
and like laid back music.
Mm-hmm.
And then they keep playing that music like during the fight scenes.
Right.
Like, so during the climactic fight, there's just this twangy banjo music that is not heightening the suspense at all.
No, it's awful.
It's pretty bad. What I do want to take a moment, though, and point out that I don't think, like, I think all of the actors in the movie are doing a good job.
All of them?
Yeah.
Who do you think's doing the best job? Let me ask you that.
Well, I want to say Jesse Ventura is doing the best job, but he's just being Jesse Ventura.
Yep. No.
But I'll say the gal who was playing Casey was doing the best job, because she was genuinely charming.
Sometimes.
When she wasn't, though, it was because of the writing.
I think the best was the intermediary for the man, the creepy guy.
Who has no lines.
No, not that guy, the other guy, the guy that sets up the fight.
Oh, M. Emmett Walsh?
Yeah.
Yes.
He was legitimately scary and creepy at all times.
Right, well, he's a veteran character actor.
Hey,
He's usually somebody's dad.
It shows.
And he is the creepiest guy on the planet in this movie.
This is the right place.
Right as range, huh? Come on in.
Yep. Very believable.
When we were growing up, there was an Army surplus store in town called Fat Daddy's.
Correct.
Did you ever go to Fat Daddy's?
No, because you went there and had a terrible experience.
Well, what I can tell you is that M. Emmett Walsh is an awful lot like Fat Daddy.
Okay.
Stubble, bathrobe, sleaziest guy on the planet. Shows up as like a bum fight promoter at the end of the movie.
Yeah, weird. But he did a great job.
He did a great job. But, so they
Going back to the barn.
Yeah, so they get in a fight.
And obviously Bird wins.
Bird wins, but I would say it's a technicality.
Why is it a technicality?
Because he wins when the fight turns into mud wrestling.
Now, why is this a thing in movies where pigs, this only one pig, is in like a foot of water? What is going on? No pig ever lives in a foot of water.
For the mud wrestling.
That's fine. Because there could be a puddle or two. He doesn't have to be his whole pen in a
Pigs love mud.
And the pig's not dirty at all.
That's a good point. The pig is not dirty at all.
No.
But Bird, who is just a regular guy throughout the rest of this movie.
as we assume, but we don't know.
Well, unless he's a Terminator.
A future soldier, yes, sir.
But ostensibly a normal guy, throws Jimbo so hard that he bursts through the side of the barn.
Now they both burst through.
Fair enough. And then they land in the pig pen, which is not next to the barn, but several yards away.
I actually believe that they land in a big ball of hay.
Oh, you are correct.
And then go into the pen.
And then they tumble into the pig pen. Whereupon, after like 2 more punches, everybody in the bar jumps into the mud.
Everybody.
For a free-for-all mud wrestling. The likes of which have not been seen since Stripes.
And nowhere near as good as Stripes.
Well, no, but what is?
Very few things.
Very few. Insane.
Very crazy. But he won the fight.
He did win the fight.
And we also get a little hint of his character when he saves the guy he just beat, Jimbo, from dying.
It is true. He has some morals.
Very little.
Very little. He in specific is whatever character the movie needs him to be at the time.
Right. See, that's what I had a hard time liking the movie, because these people, they steal stuff, they fight, they lie, they drink, they curse. Why should we care about these people? I don't even know who they are.
Well, they're stealing to survive.
Are they?
Yes.
When did they steal to survive?
Anytime that they stole, they are homeless people.
They don't need to steal that car from that guy.
No, that's fair. They did not need to steal that car.
Yeah, that's like the biggest part of the movie. They steal a car from that guy.
That is a weird scene.
Yep.
Because after this fight, they get on the road again. There's a brief interlude at a second hobo town.
Correct.
Where they are run off by policemen driving red cop cars.
And the most violent policemen ever towards these bums. Why are they destroying these bums?
That seems like how it works in movies. I don't know.
And what is a streamliner a real thing? Is that a real thing that you know of?
What's a stream? I don't remember this.
The streamliners are the people that killed Casey's dad.
And what are they supposed to be?
They're like crazy hobos that don't care about anything. They just kill people.
I don't know. I don't know anything about streamliners. I don't know that I think this movie did a lot of research.
Probably not.
Into the hobo lifestyle.
Uh-huh.
So maybe, but that's a good point in that. So we learn in this scene that Casey's dad is dead, or we learn that at some point, right?
Right.
And so I kept expecting that the way this movie was going to go was that it was going to be like a father-daughter kind of thing, where she doesn't have a dad, and like Bird's backstory was going to be like that his daughter had like tragically died or something, and that's what got him going on the road, and why he doesn't seem like he knows anything about life on the road, and all of that. So I expect that it's going to be a father-daughter kind of thing that is helped by the fact that he is a lot older than she is.
Yeah, she's 18 and he appears to be 45-ish.
Well, I looked him up on IMDb.
Uh-huh.
It has no date of birth for him.
Good. Which
leads credence to your man of the future theory, I suppose.
Right.
But it looks like he started appearing in TV shows around 1978.
Uh-huh.
So, assuming that he's 20 in 78, he's at least 30 when this movie is made.
Right. Uh-huh. But he's like 13 years older than her, probably.
At least. But yeah, I agree. He seems like he's at least like 35. And that's not really a problem. And multiple characters throughout the movie say things to them like, "Is that your daddy?"
Is that your friend in there? Daddy? He your lover?
Yeah. Well, they're like brother and sister at one point.
Right. Yeah. And that all makes sense and is fine and whatever. Until they start having a romance.
I don't think they have a romance.
They have a romance.
They have romantic moments.
No, this movie becomes a romance movie.
At the very end.
No, throughout the whole thing, because there's that time. Because after they get away from the police, Bird, I don't know, loses consciousness or something.
He just falls asleep.
Sure, that's fine.
Because as we haven't said yet, he's a very big drunkard.
He is a drunkard. But then Casey takes that opportunity to not only go off and steal some clothes for them, right, but pretties herself up.
She just goes into the water.
She doesn't just go into the water. Her hair is all done. She's a lot cleaner. She looks like a girl for the first time in the movie. Like, the movie is definitely making this idea out that, now Bird has brought out the girl in her.
Yeah.
And then, and then we have the whole, like, somewhat romantic, car driving, montage.
Again, moments.
Right, but it's still built throughout. It's not like there's just random moments. Like, because then that all builds to a pre-fight night sleeping in a warehouse.
Right.
Where they
don't know
where they have their first kiss.
Yes.
And spoilers, the whole thing then culminates at the end of the movie with them becoming a couple.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of trouble with that.
It was weird. Not what I thought.
No, because I wanted to like it.
Uh-huh.
Like I say, I liked her character, and
Right.
I liked some of the fights and everything.
Uh-huh.
But it just seemed so inappropriate. Like, it seemed like what should be a movie about her coming of age and learning to trust people and all of that sort of thing ends up getting pushed aside for this awkward love story.
Correct.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay, fine.
All right. But you're right. They get to the point then after they get cleaned up and everything where they steal a car from a car dealership.
Right.
And I don't want to elaborate on it.
Yep.
Another one of the creepiest scenes in movie history.
Very creepy.
That involves her trying to seduce a guy to steal this car.
She does seduce.
Another guy who's at least 50.
You test drive me.
Oh, older for sure.
Yeah, no good.
And the things he said were just the worst.
Oh, I don't even want to. No.
Of all time.
Those things did not. I have erased those from my video copy of this movie. Those things were not said.
Those things cannot be said.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, I can't say it's ever going to be as good for you again, but, well, your first time should be something special.
Hey! What the hell's happening? Did you all come back here now? Now, this ain't funny!
Now, there's also then, so once they've stolen the car, she gets a book from somewhere.
From the restaurant, where we learn that he can't read.
Right.
And he can't tell the difference on a weather map if it's rain or sun.
Right. The way we find out he can't read is he can't read the weather report, which
Right.
means he can't look at a picture of a sun or a cloud and know what's
Doesn't know
going on.
pictures.
He doesn't know
Has
pictograms.
no
No clue. Because he just came into existence, Chad.
I know, I'm telling you. No, he has amnesia from the trip in the time.
Oh, that could be. I don't remember that being a part of those movies.
It is in this one.
Okay, fair enough. But the book, it's the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn.
Right, which is their story, as she points out.
Right, and it seems, and again, that just goes more to like my thing, where it seems like that's going to be the movie.
Yeah.
Where it's, a crafty kid and a big dumb guy traveling the country and getting into adventures.
Right.
But this time, Huck and Jim are in love.
Huh. Now, this car brings up a huge question that I'll get to later.
Okay.
But that's just telling you where we're going.
Okay, fair enough. Because now they get to New Orleans.
Right.
The home of the man.
Apparently.
Where they hook up with M. Emmett Walsh, world's creepiest fight promoter.
Several things that can't be said about what he did.
Oh my! This movie, the attitude this movie has toward women is not the greatest.
Yeah,
by
and
any stretch of the imagination.
Don't like women, and they don't like God either. I can say that.
No, this movie doesn't like a lot of things.
Nope.
I don't think.
Nope.
But so he's a fight promoter, and he gets them another fight in New Orleans
against a big man in a diaper. He's carried down an elaborate staircase. They take off the mask, and we see the full vision of Mojo in his diaper, and his ring announcer in his tuxedo with shredded pants.
Right. So yeah, because this fight. So this is I don't even know where to begin with this fight.
This is a crazy fight.
I mean, it begins and ends at the diaper.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is the weirdest. I don't know who thought that was a good look.
Mojo.
on the production team.
Mojo.
I don't know how to break this to you. There is not a Mojo.
That guy is the executive producer of this movie. I guarantee it.
He is not I looked him up because for a second, for the briefest of seconds, I thought it was Terry Crews.
Oh, come on. Way before his time.
For a second.
Okay.
But if they remake this movie...
Terry Crews.
And he would put on a real diaper.
Oh, yeah.
He would be all over that.
Right.
But they go to this fight, which is in, like, not the backyard, but like a courtyard.
Yep.
Of like an old Spanish mission.
Yep.
Where they are having a bizarre carnival party.
That's just New Orleans, man.
So, it is not New Orleans that 24/7 they're running parties where they're showing up in masks
you been there?
Watch a bum fight.
Have you been there?
I have not been. Have you been
there? Were you there in 1988?
Have you been there?
No.
All right, then.
Now, in this fight, Bird is supposed to lose, and they'll give him $1,000.
Right. He's supposed to throw this fight.
Correct.
He does not throw the fight.
He keeps getting up because we finally realize what Bird's all about.
Honor.
Nope.
Oh.
Trying to get himself killed.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. There is a part of this movie that is he's trying to die.
That's when I finally learned that I had some respect for him, is that he's trying to get himself.
But he's supposed to throw the fight. But he won't do it.
No, because he's trying to get himself killed.
Well, right, but my point is that he won't throw the fight, right?
Uh-huh.
But he still loses the fight.
Yes.
Now, this bothered me.
Uh-huh.
Because much like you talked about how there's no, like, training montage or anything like that, the trajectory of this movie, it seems like it should be Bird loses a couple of fights, starts training, gets good, and then is good enough to fight the man. Right. The trajectory, as in your Rockies, your real steel.
Right.
But the trajectory of this movie is he wins fights, then he loses a fight.
Well, he should have won that fight.
But no, there's no shoulda, because he tried to win the fight.
No, he gave up.
Oh, I disagree. I disagree.
He gave up because he thought Mojo could kill him, so he started letting Mojo.
But he doesn't just lay down and let him do it. Mojo breaks his hand because of Bird.
Yeah, I agree.
No, it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
He's trying to get himself killed. That's why he screams in the rain, "You should have finished it." He wanted him to kill him.
Perhaps.
At that point in time.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Well, sure. I'll give you that. I'll give you it.
Later on in the movie, he finally realizes he's in love, and then he doesn't want to die anymore.
True. But, again, I will say that maybe that's where the movie should have started.
Okay.
He should have started taking fights because he's looking to die. And then he gets better and finds confidence. Not, he's good, ooh.
Yeah. Okay.
But this angers M. Emmett Walsh.
Yep.
He's not happy.
He pulls a gun.
Only gives them $100.
Yep.
Which he didn't have to give them anything, I suppose.
But Bird lost the fight. He owed him $1,000.
Right. So he gives him $100.
Yep.
Right. And again, this is a confusing thing because Casey's all indignant toward M. Emmett Walsh about how he's screwing them over and everything. Right.
Yeah.
But then, and M. Emmett Walsh says something about, oh, but you need me.
Yeah.
You need me if you're ever going to fight the man.
Which appears to be true.
And it seems like then, okay, now they're going to have to do like another 15, 20 fights before he ever lets them see the man.
Right.
Next scene?
No. The man.
Next scene, they meet the man. Next
In
scene,
the coolest crypt lair
man.
of all time.
They go to one of those New Orleans above-ground cemeteries.
Yep.
They go into a crypt, and Jesse Ventura is sitting there.
How long is he sitting there? How long do you think he's there?
At least an hour.
At least.
At least because he doesn't want them to see him because he has to get there.
Well, it takes an hour just to light the candles.
Right. He's got all these candles lit. He doesn't want them to see him getting there. He doesn't want them to walk in while he's lighting the candles. He wants them to walk in when he's sitting there all dope.
That's a cool 5-hour job.
Yeah. So he's been there since the morning.
Correct.
Or at least his associate has been there getting stuff ready.
Coolest associate ever.
He's a pretty cool associate. He looks like, when we meet him, which isn't quite yet, he looks a little like Paul Bearer.
Looks a lot like Paul Bearer.
But they show up, and Jesse Ventura is just sitting in this crypt like the coolest cat around.
Very cool outfit, cool cane, all that
stuff. The hat,
stuff.
The cane, three-piece suit.
Yeah.
If any movie is ever going to make me believe that Jesse Ventura could be rich, it is this movie.
And not his governorship?
No.
Okay.
As a Minnesota resident, I'm gonna decline to comment.
All right.
Okay.
He's got a lot of documents.
He does have a lot of documents. I won't embarrass myself by trying to do a Jesse Ventura impersonation right now.
All right.
But super cool scene where he outlines the rules of the fight.
First, you will be brought in secrecy to an arena of my choosing. Second, the referee. There is no referee.
Who's gonna call the fight if you break the rules?
Third, the rules. There are no rules.
There are no rules.
But that's the third rule.
What's the first two?
I don't remember what the first two are. But he outlines two rules, and then he says, rule number 3, there are no rules.
I think he explains the pay sculpture and...
Right, that's right. He explains the betting.
It will be in an arena of my choosing.
Right. And then after he says there will be no rules, there's another rule.
Right.
Which is that it will be to the death.
Correct.
Then we have the romantic warehouse scene.
Yeah.
And then the fight. They take a motorboat out to the bayou.
A beach. It's a beach.
Where Jesse Ventura is waiting for them in a cape.
Yes, he is.
With a suitcase of money.
And they bring $97.
And they bring all the money they have in the world with them, which is $917.
No, they don't have $900. They don't have $900.
Yes, they do.
They don't.
Or they have $91.
Correct.
I missed my decimal. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They have $91.72.
Yep.
And Jesse, because of the way Jesse operates, that means he is going to be putting up $9,172.
Yep. He expected a bigger payout.
Right. And then this is my problem. This is one of my big problems.
Yep.
Bird's life is worth $9,000.
Correct.
Because there is no reasonable belief that he is not going to die.
Right.
The man has killed every other contender.
Right.
There's no reason to believe that Bird, who just lost a fight, is going to win this one.
Right.
But he's willing to put his life on the line, and Casey, who is in love with him at this point, is willing to put his life on the line for about $9,000.
Yeah, you got it.
Not cool.
I don't even know what to say. Yeah, that's
cool.
part of the problem with the movie.
Right. I understand that they don't have any money, but you would think, again, if they had done this movie where there's a progression of bum fights, they could have had a pretty cool piece of change by this point.
Big purse.
Yes, a big purse.
Yep.
You are more into the world of fights than I am.
Yeah. Now, in most fights to the death, we don't start out with taping our hands.
Well, hey, Jesse, the man is a rich guy. He probably has a board meeting the next day.
I don't think so.
He might.
I think he's just building up his money by killing people.
Not when he's accumulating bets of under $100.
Now, see, he's not used to that. That's why he stated that he expected more.
How much do you think because there's also not that much money in that briefcase.
Right.
There's a good amount of money, but not
I bet
that
there's
much.
I bet there's 50,000 in there.
I don't think there's 50,000. I think there's maybe 10.
Fine, 10,000. You do that at a time. He does a couple fights a year. He's killing it.
I guess.
In 1988, in New Orleans, Louisiana.
You're right. I'm sorry that I did not take into account inflation or Reaganomics into the man's business plan.
They pointed out it was 1988, although there's no vestiges of time in the movie.
No, the movie could be taking place any year.
That's why I was confused.
Again, it felt very much like the Muppet movie at times.
Yep.
Could be happening anytime.
Exactly.
And in fact, at the beginning, going all the way back to Hobo Junction, it does seem like the apocalypse has happened for about 5 or 10 minutes.
It's from the future.
There's a lot of fires, a lot of darkness. Who knows? In any event, the fight commences.
The fight to the death.
It is pretty bloody.
Is it?
There's as much blood as there is anywhere else in this movie.
Okay.
And then Jesse starts pulling weapons out of the sand.
Yes. What was that? Was that a pipe? I don't even know.
I don't know if it was a pipe or a nunchuck.
And he hits him once with it.
Right, and then discards it.
Yep.
And then Bird picks up a rock.
Yeah.
And that's all she wrote.
Finish it. Which causes Jesse's rat tail to fling about in the air dramatically.
Right. Right, and then, he begs Bird to finish.
Right.
Right.
Which, does he? Do you think he finishes it?
Yeah.
I don't think he does.
Oh! You just blew my mind again.
Uh-huh.
You think he lets him live?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you're right.
He for sure lets him live.
Oh, you see, I thought he killed him.
No.
And here's the thing, because then after the fight, Bird emerges from the jungle.
Yep.
And that Major Domo guy just takes off.
Yeah.
And Bird says that there's not going to be any money.
Because he's alive.
I kept wondering why there wasn't going to be any money.
No, he couldn't.
No, you're right. You're right.
He couldn't kill him because he's in love now. He has a reason to move on.
That's I thought he killed him.
No.
No, I mean, you're 100% right. But the way I was reading that was that he killed him, and that I could not for the life of me figure out why they weren't getting their payout.
Okay.
Because while I buy that the number 2 guy would just take the money and run off.
Yeah.
He wasn't it seemed like they didn't even try to catch him and get their money.
Right. He let him go because he's alive.
That is a fair point. I like that better. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I like that better.
Good.
That is part of the stretch of this movie that is my favorite, which is from meeting the man until the end of the fight with the man.
And then directly after the fight is over, the next day, Bird is fine.
Right. Oh, all healed.
And
magically,
they're going to travel on to the next place.
Right. Right.
And they're gonna split up because they're done. Fight's over.
Right. Yep. Let's go our separate ways. We fought the man.
They've accomplished her goal of getting all this money. Wait, nope. They did not accomplish any of her goals.
Right.
But they're gonna split up anyway.
Right.
Which now I can bring in my biggest question.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Why are they going onto the trains? What happened to the car?
That is a good question. well, first off, it was a stolen car.
But nobody would know that.
Right. They do set it up in this way where they imply that, oh, he's not going to turn us in because he's going to be too embarrassed about it or whatever.
Yeah.
But what I will say, here's the things I'm going to say about that car. You need gas money.
Yep.
Eventually, they're going to have to renew their registration. They're going to need new tabs for that thing.
Correct. Now you're bringing me right into my biggest point.
Okay.
If the whole movie is about having a purse to fight the man,
yes,
why not sell and or scrap the car to raise their money?
That is a real solid point. Because that's a nice car.
Yeah.
That is a
$7,000.
Yeah, at least. Oh, I saw that price and I thought too low.
Right. Absolutely too low.
That is a nice car.
You needed to get rid of it.
Right. But again, and then she gets on the train. Maybe she thinks he's going to take the car. Because she hops a train.
No, she tells him which train he needs to go on.
All right, fine. But she hops the train, and then after a couple of minutes, he catches up and gets on the train.
Right.
They make out hardcore.
Gross make-out.
And the credits roll.
Gross make-out.
Gross make-out. Which, again, this romance is completely inappropriate.
Yeah.
And what I want to see at the end of that movie is that same scene where they're like, well, we did it. We did what we set out to do. I guess we'll go our separate ways. And then Casey says something like, well, I heard about this guy called the King who's out in New Mexico. And they say if you can catch his greased pig, he'll give you $1,000. And they head out on some other adventure.
No, I expected everything that happened. I'll say that when he threw the book onto the train car, nice touch.
Yeah, sure.
Nice touch. But then when they were making out, I expected there to be like some sort of revelation of who the hell Bird is.
Right, like he was finally going to, or even in that warehouse scene, that he was going to finally tell her what his deal is.
Yeah.
But he has no deal, apparently.
Right.
Or unless they were saving that for Thunderground 2, Revenge of the Man.
There might be a sequel to this movie just named something completely different.
If there is, it did not come up in my research. I can tell you I can tell you two things about this movie that I was going to tell you. One is it has an alternate title.
What's it called?
It is called Boxcar Blues.
Is this a Canadian movie?
Yeah, it does appear to be Canadian.
Okay.
I am not certain that it's Canadian, but it appears to be Canadian.
All right.
Okay. And after this movie, the people made, I don't know if you remember this movie. We never saw this movie, but I think I saw this movie like at the video rental store a bunch of times. A movie called Abraxas, Hunter from the Future, that is about Jesse Ventura coming from the future to like fight some dudes or something. I don't know.
It all
comes together. It all comes together.
Where did you buy this movie at?
Oh, thank you for asking me where I bought this movie. I'm very excited about where I bought it. This movie was $1.
Right.
I saw it and instantly knew that it would suit our purposes. I bought this movie at a thrift store in Michigan.
Wow.
Called Fat and Happy's.
I think you overpaid.
Well, listen, I had to buy something at Fat and Happy's.
I agree.
So, and I did buy another movie there too, which we might come to someday.
Is it The Wizard of Speed and Time?
Thank you for bringing up The Wizard of Speed and Time.
Because we need to see that.
Oh my God. So at the start of this tape, there is one preview for a movie.
Now see, I thought you might have added that preview, but that's on the tape?
That is on the tape. And I was not, and I put the tape in. I had not, the rules of this show are we cannot watch a movie we have ever seen or heard of before.
Yep.
Right? And the preview starts, and I'm thinking, well, I'm just going to fast forward past this preview. Craziest preview I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
The Wizard of Speed and Time.
Filmed on the same film stock as Star Wars and
Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
You got it.
Made on the same film stock as Roger Rabbit and Star Wars.
This This movie trailer is bonkers.
But they know it's a terrible movie, is the problem.
Well, and that's what I can't figure out. I don't know. Obviously, the trailer makes it difficult to say.
Yeah.
Like, it's certainly supposed to be more tongue-in-cheek, at least.
Uh-huh.
But it's still a movie you have never heard of in your life.
Nope.
There is a lot of stop motion in it.
Yeah.
There is a guy, the Wizard of Speed and Time, presumably, in a crazy green wizard robe.
Right.
He can run super fast.
Uh-huh.
The trailer claims that there are big stars in this movie.
Yep.
Not from what I could see.
It was the one guy was the Miami Vice guy, wasn't it?
It seemed like it.
Yeah.
It seemed like it.
I think it's the prequel to how we would later come onto cable TV, the commercials with the guy in the question mark suit.
The guy who taught you how to get free money from the government?
Yep.
Yeah, that could be. They could.
Yeah.
Maybe that guy's the villain of the Wizard of Speed and Time.
That would blow my mind, and I would watch it every day.
So, no, like, wait, honestly, and I hate to say this, because we call the show Bad Movie Brothers, but I think we are both hoping that the movie is not going to be bad.
Right.
We want
or
it,
at least good bad.
Right. We want it to be the new craziest thing we have ever seen.
Yeah.
This movie was not that.
We want it to be Death Race 2000.
Oh, don't even. We could talk for hours.
Yep.
It's not that, but the highlight of this movie might have been the Wizard of Speed and Time.
For sure.
Bonkers. Bonkers. So my question to you, is that our next movie?
If you got it, it needs to be.
The whole movie of the Wizard of Speed and Time is on YouTube.
All right.
So
Works.
There you have it. The very little I know, because I had to Google it. It is all written, directed, and as the credits say, special effected by one guy, who apparently this was like his life's work.
Oh.
So we'll have to check it out.
All right.
All right. Any final thoughts about Thunderground?
Not the worst movie we've watched, for sure.
Okay, so
but not by far not the best.
No, kind of honestly in the middle.
Right.
I liked the fights.
Yep.
I liked some of the characters.
The exterior characters were way better, and I wish I knew more about them all.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. The worst character in this movie is Bird.
See, I thought Casey was the worst.
You see, I disagree.
Yeah, okay.
I disagree.
Yeah, like I need to see a movie about the hobo in the train.
Yeah, yeah.
And a whole movie about Mojo.
And I want to see a movie where Mojo fights the man.
That's a good fight.
That is going to be a good fight. All right, well, that's all for this time.
All right.
All right, I'll talk to you next time.
Okay.
All right, later.
Bye.
Bye.